Hello, everyone, and welcome to Energy Quick Chat here, where we rub minds with stakeholders and players in the energy market. I am your show host, Justina Okechuhu. Today, we take a look at a new initiative announced by the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission, or NUPRC, aimed at helping awardees of the marginal oil field licenses with needed capital to commence full field development towards heating first oil. The Commission also says it has developed a corporate governance framework, which is currently at an advanced stage for upstream petroleum operators, including an E&P International Financing Roadshow in the coming weeks for financiers, investment bankers, private equities, and multilateral institutional investors. For more on this, I am joined by an industry expert, Kola Karim, Group Managing Director and CEO at Shoreline Energy International. It's good to have you on the show, sir. So what more can you tell us about the NUPRC initiative for production-based lending engagements for marginal field operators?
Look, the truth of the matter is what the NUPRC came up with is a wonderful idea. It's a wonderful idea and one of the first by a regulator in trying to energize an industry that the world is put decarbonization in front of it. Look, since the push of this decarbonization, ability to raise funding by oil and gas companies, even the majors, is becoming even further restricted. So coming up with this idea is putting in a room private equity investors, bankers, debt providers, in coming together with all these our license holders in seeing how you can find very structured way in financing some of these marginal fields in putting them to production.
Now, what would make marginal oil fields worth the money for investment banks, private equity investors, and others?
Look, the answer in itself is in the name marginal. Now, what a marginal field is an asset that's already been explored, exploited, and oil has been found. To the major company who's found it, it's not commercial quantity or commercial enough. But to the small companies, local companies that have been put together to bid for this marginal field, these are assets that's worthwhile. So when you put this together, if you combine the marginal field, about 57 licenses that was giving out last year, imagine if 50 of them produce an average of 5,000 barrels a day. That on average is 250,000 additional barrels a day. That's easy to get to, easy to produce from a defined oil-bearing zone. And that is why it is important ability to connect capital to this type of quick win asset in getting them to production.
But are there roles for the NUPRC under the lending engagement that is being planned?
Look, other than being a regulator, I don't see much of a role. But you see, the regulator in itself is one of the major connector that gives comfort zone to lenders and also to operators alike. So NUPRC has a very important role to play, being the regulator that's keeping to the strict rules in making sure funders are comfortable and the operators are also comfortable, and both of them can connect in making sure the assets deliver value.
So let's chat about the new corporate governance framework that the NUPRC has released to the sector. Why was this important for the marginal oil licensees?
Unfortunately, if you see what happened during this marginal field bid round, there were over 600 companies that bidded for just 57 marginal field. And they streamlined that. It went down to, I think, about 100 or so companies. So you can imagine that means on some licenses that were awarded, you have 2, sometimes 3, 4, 5, even sometimes I understand 6 different companies that have been put together to own an interest in a marginal field. Now, that in itself poses a problem. You have different peoples, different companies, different corporate organizations, different financial situation being put together to explore and exploit an asset. And you can imagine the problems that that comes with. Even trying to agree alone on the next steps could be a problem is trying to herd a cow or cattle put together. So I think NUPRC coming up with stringent guidelines in corporate governance and governance structures that will make this formation work seamlessly and work better, to making sure all partners feel they belong to the same corporate entity.
So what are the critical issues facing marginal oil operators in Nigeria, and how can these issues be resolved?
The biggest critical issue is financing. Financing is a huge one, and this is where NUPRC is coming and trying to bring this innovative idea, connecting capital and capital providers to people who need them, who are marginal field operators. The other critical one is security in the Niger Delta. Right? It doesn't matter how much capital you give me and how much oil I produce if I cannot get the oil to the market. So government also has a very important part to play in making sure not only the enabling environment that's been put together by NUPRC, but the security apparatus around infrastructure that will safely secure the delivery of my produced oil to the international market. Those two go hand in hand. And with the right security structure, the right community engagement by the marginal field operators, we would only see value in the deliveries of this marginal field production into the market.
So what's your outlook on Nigeria's oil industry in terms of production output under the present global realities?
The reality as it stands today is a very, very troubling one. On one hand, you have Russia, Ukraine, which is pushing demand in the market. On the other hand, you've got jitters also post-pandemic from countries that are utilizing crude like Russia, India. Their positioning is simple. They're consuming a lot more and they're getting a lot of discounted oil, exploiting the situation with Russia. But looking at Nigeria, I think my outlook is on the price deck. We're still going to see sub $100 a barrel. And that is due to the fact that, yes, we're leaving a winter season. We're moving to spring and to summer. And it's going into the driving season in the United States, where consumption of petroleum products usually move up. Another major driver to this is China's industrial output is opening post-pandemic. And now a lot of factories are, importing a lot more energy or requiring a lot more energy to foster and build their production capacity. And those stringent demands across board, I see, will continue to push demand. But the big elephant in the room is also OPEC. OPEC sticking to its 2 million barrel cuts, and they're hoping or looking forward to cutting more, would also be a good balancing and inching up prices. And my prospective position is $100 a barrel in the near future is the type of pricing we should be looking at for oil.
I hope we'll be prepared for that as the times goes by. Those were interesting insights right there. Kola Karim, Group Managing Director and CEO at Shoreline Energy International. Thank you for coming on the show, sir. And there you have it, everyone. Thank you for watching. I am Justina Okechukwu. Bye for now.